having strategy, very important. You cannot go to a 3PL hoping for the best that you're
Yeah.
going to start selling more. No, a 3PL is not a magic wand that's going to start increasing your sales. A lot of people believe that.
Yeah.
So I tell people, marketing wise, having a marketing strategy is not only putting money in paid ads.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's segment here on the Product and Packaging Powerhouse. I am your show host, Megan Young Gamble, and Chief Project Officer at GLC, your packaging and project execution team. And let me just say, you're in for a treat because if you ever thought about, as an indie brand or a founder, if you need a fulfillment center or a 3PL provider, if you're ready for that. And also, what is some technology that is now being leveraged in the fulfillment space and logistics that you should be aware about in 2026? If you've been thinking about that, this is the episode for you because I have the guru of fulfillment, the power maker, the game changer, and also industry powerhouse, Maïré, who is with ECOMSPACES. And let me just say, if you have not followed Maïré on social media, if you have not followed ECOMSPACES, I need you to do that right now. Their links are down in the show notes because they are offering a lot of resources for product-based businesses and founders to help them grow, scale, and launch effectively and efficiently, through their business ECOMSPACES. So I'm so excited for today's conversation. And let me just say, you see, I'm in a baseball cap. Maïré is in a sweatshirt and a hair bun. And that goes to show you we show up authentically as ourselves to get the job done. So it doesn't matter how we look. The information is what's gold. And so, Maïré, I'm so excited to speak with you today and welcome to the house for this conversation.
Well, thank you, Megan. Thank you for this introduction. That was really amazing.
Right.
Really appreciate. And like you
Absolutely.
say, we showing up authentically. And that's one thing that was true from the beginning, from the start of Ecom Spaces, is that we don't have time for fake stuff. We do the real work. And we appreciate our founders. We know their real stories. We
Yeah.
share our real stories. And I'm so happy to be with you today to share more.
Absolutely. Likewise. And there's no time like the present to, of course, put some respect on your own name. And that's what I'm telling people. They need to just follow you because you have done some remarkable things, especially here in Atlanta, where it's like the mecca of Black businesses. So I want you to share with our audience, who you are and how you got started to create and launch ECOMSPACES because, ladies and gentlemen, it is a story that is truly inspirational. So, Maïré, I would love to hear from you on your journey.
Yes, so I'm going to try to make it short because my journey really is very, very long. I'm from a very small island that's named Marie-Galante. It's part of the archipelago of Guadeloupe, and Guadeloupe is a French territory in the Caribbean. So even with that, it's already complex because not too many people know Guadeloupe because it's French, so it's not its own country, but it's not in mainland France. Already complicated.
Yeah.
After high school, I decided that I wanted to move to Canada. I didn't want to go to Guadeloupe like to France, like everybody else to study. I wanted to be completely different. I love to travel. I love to discover new cultures.
Mhm.
And so I went to Canada in Montreal. They speak French, so that was perfect. I studied there in criminology, so nothing to do with logistics. And from there, I started working in crime prevention with young people. I ended up coming through Atlanta in 2006, fell in love with the people in Atlanta because I never thought about, hey, let me go on vacation in Atlanta. Back then it was like Atlanta is dangerous. That's what we knew of Atlanta from abroad. It was like, what are you going to go do in Atlanta? And I had a layover one night and I was like, this is amazing. Why people are always talk bad about Atlanta? It's an amazing city. People are nice. I want to go and live there. And I was amazed to see just arriving at the airport and seeing that so many Black people. The TSA agents were Black. The immigration agents were Black and nice and
Yeah.
fun. And I was like, wow, okay. I never seen that nowhere else. And I did travel in the rest of the US. So back for like 2 years later, I came back on vacation. And while I was on vacation, I actually found a job so I could work here on a work permit for a year. But then after a year, my work permit was over. And I actually learned English during that time because I came here I wasn't speaking one word of English. I
Oh,
couldn't even
wow.
say hi. Yeah. So that was a crazy decision. I had to learn English very fast because I had a job in social work and I made it work. I learned within a month. I was okay.
Mm.
I could do everything. And to not lose my English, I went to England after my work permit was over. And while I was in England, I got my green card. So I came back to Atlanta in 2011. Now I'm in Atlanta. I have a job and I bought a pair of shoes online. I was too lazy to go to the post office, posted the shoes online on my Facebook, and all my friends, literally had 200 girls in France
Mhm.
who wanted to buy the shoes from me. And I was like, why would you buy the shoes from here? We have all the shoes we want in Paris, you know?
Mhm.
And they were like, no, but this particular one, we don't have it. So we want it.
Mm.
Can you ship it? How much it costs to ship? How much are the shoes? And then boom, that's when I had the light bulb and I was like, oh wow, there's things in the US that people in France want.
Yeah.
Okay. So I just went on eBay, I listed, I created a Facebook page. I didn't even have a website, created a Facebook page, listed all this stuff, and then start selling stuff for people abroad. And I was doing drop shipping without even knowing that drop shipping existed. So that was way before everybody was doing drop shipping. So
Mm.
that's literally how I got into e-commerce. And that's the beginning of why I created ECOMSPACES.
And you know what? Just from hearing your journey, there's so many lessons, that can really be taken from your journey because one, the fact that you were living in Montreal, studying there criminology, which is very fascinating. I only know 3 people that study criminology out of all the people I've met. It's very
Hmm.
interesting, but you're studying criminology and you came to Atlanta Airport, ATL Airport, and it's the busiest airport in the world to say, I want to move here. That goes to show you the power of Atlanta. Shout out to ATL. Like ATL is nothing like us ever, and just like Outcast, the South has something to say. Okay. So, so that's a lesson itself to say, I want to move here and not having any understanding or knowing how to speak English and learning it on the spot when you got a job. Like that shows resilience and dedication to learn the language here. And here in the South, we have our own flair and dialect than any other states in the US. And you know that, right? It's New York, Atlanta, or the South, and California. Like those are the 3 main areas we all have each of us have our own dialect. And you was like, wait, what? I'm sure you did. Okay.
Yes, it
Cause
was terrible because so when I say I wasn't speaking English, I should reformulate that. I learned English in school, but they teach us
it's different.
British English in France.
Mhm. Yeah.
And that's so funny because I come here even to say like, how are you? People are going to say, how you doing?
Hmm.
And I could not understand that. I was like, what you mean? How you
Yeah.
doing? What does that mean? What I'm doing? Like making?
Yeah.
So
Like as
little
an
things
action.
like,
Yeah.
so even if I could understand the accent because the accent is thick, you guys are using a full sentence sounds like one word.
It
And I'm
does.
like, what is, and then, but even if I would try to understand certain words, I couldn't understand the sentence. And it
Yeah.
took me a while to really, yeah.
That's amazing. Yeah, because that's why I was like, everybody thinks that all states in Americas have
Mm-mm.
the same accent, dialect. We do not. And here in Atlanta, like you see, we don't say Atlanta. That's 3 syllables. We say one, Atlanta. So we have our own accent and the way we speak here. So to that point, thank you for rocking with us and coming down to the South and being a change maker here in the South too,
Mm-hmm.
to create ecom spaces. But the last
Mm-hmm.
lesson you mentioned was how you posted the shoes on your Facebook page and people internationally want to purchase the shoes and you figured out how to ship it internationally. and doing drop shipping before even knowing it was considered drop shipping, like that's a whole masterclass in itself. So you see, ladies and gentlemen, and here why I'm saying you need to be following Maïré, because her journey is inspirational and the impact that she has with ECOMSPACES and the brands is notorious. And so as part of that, you launch ECOMSPACES to really help support the indie brands, founders, and those that are growing and scaling their businesses as well. So my first question to you is, when should a brand or founder consider using a fulfillment center or 3PL such as ECOMSPACES for their company?
Well, I would say it really depends on the brand. Something that we do is that when people approach us, they usually like, hey, I don't want to ship. Shipping is the most hated industry in the
Yeah.
entire world.
Yeah.
Shipping is hard. Even 3PLs. I'm not gonna lie, I'm still debating why I decided to do this. It's hard. It's not
That's
very
valid.
profitable.
That's valid.
It's not a
Yeah.
it's not a very profitable industry, and on top of that, it's heavy on physical labor
Mhm.
and technology
Mm.
and complaints. Because at the 3PL, even if we ship the stuff on time, if the carrier is late delivering it, we don't do transportation, but your client is mad at you.
Yeah.
So you get the blame for almost everything. The manufacturer messed up, the count is not right, that would be on us. Like, oh, you didn't count it right. Well, they didn't ship the amount.
Yeah.
It's a lot of things. So I would say for a brand who wants to get to a fulfillment, we
Mhm.
understand first of all, shipping is hard, but that doesn't mean that you should not do your own shipping. And some brands who are already ready, they're launching or they're already shipping from home, they have a certain volume. I tell them if you start spending more than 2 hours a day shipping, it's time to look at outsourcing your shipping. Because you want to claim that means you have growth, you have enough volume. And if you put more energy in marketing and other things, customer service, whatever it is, you can keep growing the business. Try to reclaim that time. Your time becomes more important than paying outsource or partner with a 3PL to ship your stuff. And a lot of people are like, yeah, I don't want to go to a 3PL. It's too expensive. But I would rather pay someone $100 to ship stuff for me in 2 hours than spend these 2 hours and lose the opportunity to make $500. So we're trying to look at the numbers with them. We look at the numbers. We anticipate pick and pack fees. We anticipate other costs that the fulfillment gonna have, and then with that we can show them, okay, this is how much it's gonna cost. This is how many orders you need to have to at least break even. And if you do it yourself, this is how much time that you're losing. And then we do the pros and the cons. Another thing is that some brands should do their own shipping and they should have their own shipping operations depending on the complexity of their processes. And we help brands with that too. We have brands who have their own shipping operation and we support them. We actually go to their warehouses, we help them with processes, they use our systems, and we provide that support in that manner. What happened? I cannot hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, like Verizon. Can you hear me now? But based on what you mentioned for the latter, I didn't know that you all could go to other companies' warehouses and support them there with their operation, pick and pack, et cetera. So you offer dual services, whether at your facility or at the brand's facility, depending upon complexity, et cetera. Because I know with, bigger brands that may have PR, may have influencer kits, may have D2C, may have retailers, all those require different pick and pack operations for fulfillment. So it could be better going to their facility versus at yours.
Actually, no. Actually,
No?
not in that manner.
Okay.
So I'll give you two examples. People who usually have retail, D2C, different retailers and all of that, they
Mhm.
usually will do better with a 3PL. And we have these brands. So we do different processes, but it's same process for every client. Like when we do retail for client A, is the same for client B. The process is straightforward. However, we have more complicated brands. They probably have to make their product themselves in a production
Mm,
facility, and or they want to, their packaging is very important. They have to write special notes. Some brands are
right.
very, very specific, and because they have so many steps in their packing process, or in their
Got it.
production process in-house, it makes it less expensive first that they do it themselves if they have a good process. So that's why we help them with that
Mm.
and the good system. But also because the labor cost will be so high with a 3PL. When we start to have to do like things that are not regular processes, it costs money because we have
Mhm.
to pay people. We have to
Mhm.
train them on a
Mhm.
process that's different than everybody else. And yeah. So
Okay.
we're literally super transparent with everybody. We tell them, you want us to do fulfillment, but looking at the numbers and everything might look it's better if you do it yourself. You already have your operations. Or sometimes people just tell us, I do not want to use a 3PL, but we need the help
Mm.
to have a better shipping operation.
Okay.
And we go and help them with that. We train the team, we put the systems in place. And our goal at the end of the day is to make sure that the brands have the right tools to grow. It's not about having the most clients. Actually, we'd
That
rather
part.
just help people in their own fulfillment centers.
I know listen, 'cause you're at a new facility now, you have a larger warehouse, more team members, all the things, and so the overhead becomes, I'm sure, costly, you know? So, if you're
Right.
looking for a 3PL provider, ECOMSPACES can definitely help you out. They have a beautiful new facility here in Metro Atlanta, so they can definitely help you out, you know, or come to your facility and help you with your operations. So click the link that's down below, get engaged with Maïré and her team. They even have memberships. And I want to ask you, Maïré, like, how does the membership tiers, work? Because I've worked with quite a few 3PLs and majority of them don't offer memberships. So I would love to hear from you, like, what is the benefit of the memberships and how can brands learn more about that service and that pricing tier that could be advantageous for their bottom line?
Yeah, so we have different stages of founders who come to us. So some of them just start, they've been there in business for a while, they don't have a big volume, they don't need
Hmm.
fulfillment yet. And we offer strategy support. I literally run here to do this podcast after doing a strategy meeting with one of our members. She has a snack box brand, black owned, women owned here in Atlanta, and she don't need shipping, but she needs strategy and that
Hmm.
accountability. So that's my favorite thing in our membership is that you have someone to guide you because it's so overwhelming. And I
Yeah.
remember even myself starting the business, so much information online. You're going to ask ChatGPT, is going to tell you a bunch of stuff without really knowing your business.
Yeah.
So I sit down, we do a brand strategy real quick, and then we look at the data that you have. And then from that, we do an assessment and then we can tell you exactly what you should be working on right now. And
Mm.
until you haven't done this accomplished, you should not do anything else. So we're
Okay.
giving people focus. We're getting the noise out because there's all type of master classes, workshops, all of this stuff,
Webinars.
all these accelerators that teach you the same thing, and then it doesn't move the needle
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
nobody. So yeah, so we developed something that's very unique for each brand and very focused. Like this is what you need to work on. And once it's solved, we're gonna look at the next thing.
I love that. And that also helps the brands, from beginning stages and helping them as they're growing to incrementally phase in the next stage of their business. So, whether it's strategy to help them focus and really laser in on this particular area, then it could be, okay, when do I start considering a 3PL provider? Does fulfillment make sense, based upon
Uh-huh.
my sales, et cetera? So you get to walk them through the full journey. And Ecom Spaces, they have a great like customer journey that's located on their website that teaches you and shows you their process going from beginning stages, automation, and beyond. So that also gives you insight to know if you're a fulfillment center ready and how they take on a new client as well. But get engaged with their memberships because I think that's golden. And the fact that Maïré and her team are offering strategy sessions outside of just providing the 3PL and
Mhm.
fulfillment service is even golden because to her point, there's so many accelerators, so many webinars, so many master classes. ChatGPT can tell you every single thing, but you don't know how to put it into effect if you don't know where your business stands. So
Mhm.
y'all get engaged with Maïré. Like that's just phenomenal. And just goes to show you the added value and intention that Ecom Spaces is really putting behind their brands. And so I want to ask you this, Maïré, because as we're thinking about the memberships and the tiers, whether they're starting off growing the brand or scaling, a lot of early stage brands underestimate how operations can impact the customer experience. So, from your experience having ecom spaces, what are the top three fulfillment mistakes you see repeatedly, and how can founders avoid them?
Super simple, but so overlooked. Just be organized.
Okay. Like organize in what way?
So organize in from the beginning, people with their inventory. So because people tend to ship
Mm,
themselves, they're like, oh, I know which product is this product. And so they do their shipping, they know. And they assume that when they're gonna go and outsource or even hire someone, that it's gonna be
mhm,
easy for the person to know because they've been doing it so much, it becomes regular, like the breathing air.
yeah.
However, a new person or a company will not know. So you need to have barcodes on your products. And these are simple stuff that people can do. They just don't know
Mhm.
they should do that. So organize your products physically, first of all. So you,
Okay.
as you start shipping yourself from home, make sure that if you sell clothes, that they are in plastic, in polymers, for example, like you need to, they be protected or they need to be barcoded. They need to have SKUs. So in Shopify, you have to create SKU numbers for your products, unique
Mhm.
SKU numbers. And that's the basics before you go no so anywhere else or you even hire someone to help you
Yeah.
be organized in that manner, physically and in the system.
Okay.
And I've seen so many brands coming from other 3PL blaming the 3PLs, like, oh, they did a horrible job, they're shipping the wrong stuff. And then we get the items and nothing has barcodes, nothing is organized.
Mm,
And the difference with us is that we really care about the brands. So I'm not
right.
just a 3PL. We're going to organize for them. We're going to show them what we're going to put the barcodes. We're going to tell them how to speak to the suppliers. But no other warehouse going to do that with you.
Yeah.
We're doing it because I've been in that position, so I know that people don't know. And a lot of times, it's not the 3PL that was to blame, it was the founder that was not organized.
Mm,
Another thing, I think this is the most important. Once you have organization, the 3PL now will be to blame if they do something wrong.
okay. Okay.
But then communication, like make sure you communicate with the people you outsource with. If you change something in your Shopify store, make sure that you check that everything is flowing correctly. If you add a new app,
Mhm.
communication very important. And of course, having strategy, very important. You cannot go to a 3PL hoping for the best that you're
Yeah.
going to start selling more. No, a 3PL is not a magic wand that's going to start increasing your sales. A lot of people believe that.
Yeah.
So I tell people, marketing wise, having a marketing strategy is not only putting money in paid ads. It's also, is my customer service amazing? Like, do they
Mhm.
reply fast? That's super important. Is my packaging branded? So when people receive the items, it's such a wow effect factor that they post it and I get more clients
Yep.
because they made a TikTok video or reel on Instagram. You have to make sure that your brand is shareable on social, and that starts
Mhm.
with the packaging. The packaging is very important. And I think it's an underutilized marketing tool. A lot of
It
people
is.
try to save money with branded packaging and they don't realize that by having that, it's going to actually save them money in other marketing funnels. The best marketing is the organic marketing.
That
It's
part. That
yes,
part.
yeah.
That part.
Uh, and I see the difference. The people who have branded packaging, they're killing it.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah, you're
because
gonna
it's
pay
part
for
of the whole
packaging
experience.
anyways.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And thank you for mentioning those three things because it's funny because when I work with indie and startup brands, and they come to us, they're ready for packaging, branded packaging at that, or, what's the next stage? And I'm looking at their items, I'm like, you don't have a barcode. So even if you were thinking about Amazon in the next year, retailers in the next, 2 to 3 years, you have to have a barcode. So that's the beginning stages. So me and Maïré are having similar processes and conversations with brands from the beginning because we're not just thinking about the now. We're looking at where you're at now to help you with the future state. And we're looking at the next 2 to 3 years and
Right.
beyond for brands. That's where the strategy comes in. What's the marketing strategy? What's your advertising strategy? What are your barcodes? What is the product portfolio looking like? What is the evolution of your branded packaging, from the consumer facing to the mailer boxes. We're looking at all of that and we're asking y'all those questions to help gauge where you're at to meet you where you are. So, Maïré, we have similar processes even with our own respective lanes, but barcodes is the most important. And I want to ask you a follow-up question to that because a lot of startup brands and indie brands, they have inventory that they have been sorting or organized. I'm saying that in quotes, but yet they may not have the right systems in place. So for, with you offering strategy to the brands, what systems would you recommend early stage brands and beyond to implement from the beginning to help them with that inventory organization and management?
First of all, please use Shopify.
Okay.
Don't come to me with this Webflow, Wix. No.
Why is that? Why
Shopify.
is that? Why is that?
Well, it's not because a lot of people ask us that, do Shopify pay you guys? No, they don't. But we have the experience, and Shopify, the reason why is, think about Apple and Android. Usually people are gonna know if I have an Apple phone, never an app gonna come out. It's gonna come first on iOS. It's gonna come first on Apple. That's the platform of choice for applications. Shopify is a platform of choice for e-commerce applications. So whenever you have to add new functionalities on your website, a bundle app, a kit app, upsell apps, subscription apps, think of how much money it will cost you to do that on another platform that is not made for e-commerce, because you will have to hire a developer for these
To
things.
do that. Yeah.
Exactly. So I have a bunch of people, they come, they on Wix, they on WooCommerce, and they're like, oh, but I already pay someone. And I tell them, you can stay. We can work
Yeah.
with you, but trust me, in 3 months, you're gonna have to switch. As they scale, they
Mm,
realize they have to switch, and they do. I mean, if big brands like, I think Sephora is on Shopify, you
they are.
sell on Shopify,
Yeah.
and there's a reason why. So the fact that Shopify is affordable, sometimes even cheaper than the stuff that people use,
Hmm.
I'm like, why not using Shopify? And also integration wise, anybody who create an application, they're gonna make the app for Shopify first. Then they might or might not create it for the other platform. Wix, I think, is the worst out of all of them for e-commerce because it's very hard to make apps for them because they change their API often. So the people who make applications are just sick of it. They're like, oh, I got to change something again and again. Gonna save you money in the long run. And they have all these AI features. You need photos of your products. You don't have to go pay for a product photographer anymore. Use the AI feature. The photos, you cannot even tell it's AI anymore. Website designs, all of this, you can utilize AI now on Shopify. And again, it integrates with everything, with all the 3PLs. Imagine having to pay a developer just to connect your 3PL with your website. No,
And that's
Shopify
so
is
much more
one click.
time. Yeah.
Yes, one click.
Yeah. Yeah. And, it's funny because, brands will come to me and ask me, well, what website should I use? And I tell them,
Mm-mm.
I'll be honest, that's not my area of expertise. However, what I have seen work well for brands is Shopify, to the point of setting up your abandoned cart. So if somebody leaves, I get a text from every company, saying, hey, you left something in your cart. And that's because I'm in this postpartum stage and my mind forgets what I'm doing and goes to mommy mode instantly, and I forget what I'm shopping for, but whole nother topic. But the abandoned cart feature, the upsell
Mm-hmm.
feature, cross-sell feature, the kits as you mentioned, like there's so much technology that's incorporated within Shopify and retailers are using it. Sephora uses it. Macy's uses it for part of their, certain divisions of their business. A lot of companies are using it. And so still thinking about systems, Maïré, and thinking about the evolution that a brand goes through as they're growing and scaling. They want to go into the Sephora. They have the Shopify in place. Please don't use Wix. She's saying don't use Wix. Just invest and get Shopify from the beginning. Okay. So you heard her. You heard it right here on the Product Packaging Powerhouse. But as a brand is growing and scaling, they now want to go into retail to the Sephoras, to the Ultas, wherever else that they intend. Let me rewind. Is ECOMSPACES EDI compliant to help with the integration with those retailers, and what things should brands have in place with their system or Shopify store to make sure that the integration is connected if they're expanding to retail?
Yes, so if they expand to retail, if they do their own shipping, they will have to have an EDI system, like SPS Commerce is the most known.
Mm-hmm.
And if they work with a 3PL like us, yes, most 3PL is gonna be able to do retail or EDI compatible. Or the WMS system that we use is what gonna make you know if a 3PL is good or not as well. So we use Shipiro as a WMS system, and they integrate with SPS Commerce. And
Okay.
there's different tricks to make people save money when they do retail if they don't have big volume. They don't necessarily have to connect SPS and Shipiro because there's fees. Every time you have to integrate for retail, specifically
Mm-hmm.
retail, it won't connect with Shopify. It's external to Shopify. It's gonna have to connect with the 3PL, and that company, SPS Commerce, gonna charge people money to do the implementation for them. It's
Okay.
costly. People who do retail, they have to get ready and they have to understand it's going to cost me a couple of thousands to
Mm-hmm.
integrate everything. It's not cheap. And then
Yeah.
you have to upfront the money to get the inventory for the retailers, and they don't pay you right away.
Those net terms. Yep.
Yes. So retail is
Yeah. And you know what? Thank you for being transparent about it, because a lot of indie brands are like, have the big goals. I want to go into retail. I want to go into retail. Okay, that's great. However, do you have the capital to keep your operation afloat first and foremost? Because some retailers are net 90. There's a couple that's a net 120 once it arrives. And to your point, you have to have the money and the capital to have the integrations on the back end for the systems to be compliant or compatible with the retailers. And the investment varies depending upon country, retailer,
uh
etc. So I appreciate you being transparent about that for the brand owners and founders, because they think,
uh
oh, going into retail, this is going to help boost me and accelerate my business by this percentage or X amount. But sometimes you may not see the ROI for a couple years because you've invested so much to meet the POs, to meet the deadlines, to have the count right and have it be properly
and
palletized, So it's a lot to consider. Brands don't
and
realize.
and the marketing budget, because if you don't sell at the retailer, if you don't push your people to go buy it and it sits on the shelves, you're gonna lose money. They're gonna charge you some
Yep.
fines, or they're gonna have to return the stuff and charge you for it.
Yep.
So that too.
Yeah. Well, wait, that's a whole masterclass in itself, like for retail readiness. Didn't y'all have don't you offer a course like throughout the year? Okay, well, I need you to offer something like
Retail,
that.
that's
Yeah.
right. That's the Russell Center. They have like a retail academy. What's
Okay.
the name? Yeah,
Okay, that's through
with
Rice.
Walmart.
But I'm saying
Yeah.
specifically like just with fulfillment and 3PL, because that's a whole segment in itself that brands
Uh,
really need to understand that they may not be ready for. Like the integration for the
uh-huh.
systems, with how to properly understand what is the pallet requirements, to ship out inventory and the master cases on the pallets and how it needs to be received, the
That
type of
too.
pallet
The
that it has to be
packaging.
packaging,
The
what I'm saying?
packaging, if the case packaging is not done exactly like the retailer needs it, they
That's
fine
a
you for
chargeback.
that.
Yeah, that's a chargeback. Been there with some of the brands when I've come on, I'm like, "Oh, man, this opportunity, but now we have to pay more money, but let's do this right going
Uh,
forward," So it is costly investment to go into retail. So me and Maïré are letting y'all know, if you wanna go into retail, you can, but just be prepared to spend the dollars, okay? And get your pitches together. Maïré could probably do a whole masterclass on pitching, because she has won numerous pitches, grants, etc. So that could be part of the strategy call too. Just shameless plug for Maïré Ecomspaces,
yeah,
because
actually.
because a lot of brands are bootstrapping, and you bootstrap, to start the
Uh-huh.
business and have grown and evolved to where it is now, to have investors and funders and brands that pay you for your services. So that's a whole math class. So there you go, Maire. That's a whole math class that you can just go ahead and
That's a
incorporate
good idea.
for ecom spaces. Okay.
That's a good
So
idea.
so next question. So you mentioned about marketing budget. I'm so glad you brought this up, because as we're looking at brands that are growing and scaling, they only think growth happens only in marketing, on the marketing side.
Mhm.
And so from your experience, what operational systems does a brand need to have to help scale them from 4 figures, 5 figures, 6 figures to 7-figure brand, respectfully?
For me, again, everything is logical because I didn't have a background in business. I didn't have a business plan. I didn't do any marketing strategies when I started my second business, so the parcel forwarding company. So you remember initially I was selling products that people couldn't find in France to France. And then eventually, through customer service, I realized that people wanted to also buy on other websites that were not shipping to France. So from that, I created a parcel forwarding company for French speaking countries. And one thing that I did was I was like, there's other companies doing that. Nobody's doing it for French speaking people. So I'm going to do it from French speaking countries. And French speaking countries is not only France, even France itself has a lot of overseas territories. So I had an untapped market. But one thing that I did differently was that I didn't do any ads. I didn't do any really PR stuff. I literally just made sure that the first clients that I had, I did amazing. I gave them an amazing experience. I was writing notes. I was sending chocolates with their orders. I was adding little stuff. It was very personal. People could reach me. They would send me an email. I would reply right away. And only doing this made people share that on social. They're like, oh my God, I received my package. I had gifts. The owner sent me a little message. And mind you, the people don't know I'm doing this from home. They think I have a big warehouse and I'm home with roommates.
Yeah.
But the experience was so amazing that they thought it was like a big business
Mhm.
with a personal touch. And that's literally what I kept as my North Star for my businesses. And even for ECOMSPACES, I feel like I lost a little bit of that last year and I'm getting back to it, is that focusing on my clients and giving them the best experience possible and treat them like the way I would want to be treated. Customer service wise, are we replying fast? Because you know how it feels like when I send an email to a company and they take forever to email me back. It's really annoying, whatever it is. So imagine when it's about clients who have inventory that we ship for and we don't reply right away. So we do live chats. We reply right away. And all of these things, that's my North Star. If you treat your customer extremely well and they have the best customer experience possible, you're going to organically, without marketing budget, instead of spending on ads, I'm spending on that. I'm going to hire someone to reply to customer service faster. I'm going to train them well. I'm going to add extra stuff that I know that other fulfillment centers are not doing, like the strategy, for example. If I'm helping the clients grow, I'm growing my business too. I don't need to go
Yeah.
acquire a bunch of other clients. So think about how you can multiply what you have with what you
Mm.
can do. And customer service for me is such underutilized,
It
just like the
is.
branded packaging.
Yeah.
People they see the sales and they're like, oh my God, let me focus on pushing more ads. And then they lose customers by not taking care of them and
Yeah.
figuring out what they need. Yeah.
Oh, that's so good because Imma hit on 2 points. Because even with, like, branded packaging, for my clients we work with, when we execute design for them or working with their designer, their direct
Mm-hmm.
designer, we're like, "Okay, you have all this information on your product packaging, but where is it navigating them to?" Like, I need instant
Mm-hmm.
navigation to the website or to a tutorial or to
Mm-hmm.
wherever it is you want them to go, to keep them in the pipeline, to keep them engaged on your website. Because if I get it and I don't have anywhere to go, Imma throw the box away, a whole nother topic because it becomes costly, as part of that. But most consumers throw the boxes away. That's the
Mm-hmm.
unfortunate part. So how are you keeping them engaged to navigate them wherever? So what's the journey? And then secondly, the customer experience. And that's part of the branded packaging element. Like, where is it navigating me to as the customer to keep me engaged, to keep me excited, to want to buy more, to, be like, they have a new product coming out, or they want to have me be part of their focus group, or whatever the case may be. That experience is what keeps it going. And even if I have a problem, products come in damaged, not because of
Mm-hmm.
any, it happens. It's inevitable, regardless of how much packaging we put in place and protection. And also with you, with fulfillment, you all are doing everything you can to mitigate breakage, right? So it doesn't have that expense to the customer. But unfortunately, things happen because once it
Mm-hmm.
leaves, We have the carriers who some take good care, some not as good care on on the items that are getting shipped. That's just the reality.
Mhm.
But how are you getting engaged to make sure that you're still having a great customer experience, even in those unfortunate circumstances? So I think that's really big. So either hiring team members, refining the processes, investing into upgraded systems, and also connecting with my and other subject matter experts to see what is the most advantageous way to help you with growing and scaling operationally with each stage of your business, especially from a revenue
Mhm.
standpoint. And so, as we're in 2026, we're seeing a lot of things change. Every consumer seems like they're going to TikTok and every other social platform to see what's the new trend, what's the latest thing happening, etc. And we're seeing a shift, in reference of where consumers are going to for credibility of brands, etc. So my question for you is, as a fulfillment guru expert at this point, because you are an expert in what you do now, what major shifts do you expect in fulfillment and e-commerce logistics? So this could be around automation, cross-border logistics, AI, marketplace integration, or anything else that you see.
So in logistics, I think there's a lot of talks around AI more than robotics, because I think robots, it's gonna take a while. There's not really robots that can yet
Yeah.
do this. And can you hear me? Sorry, I think.
No, I can hear you.
Cool. Okay. I thought. Okay. And so yes, so like I was saying, there's a lot of talks about AI more than robotics right now, and how AI can make things better for the workers in the warehouse. So we don't want to get rid of people, but we want to make sure that people perform faster, better,
Yeah.
without replacing them. And there's a lot of things being done right now, a lot of improvements in less than a year. Even our WMS system is totally different than 6 months ago. There's so many AI components to make sure that the packers and the pickers don't work too much. So they know exactly, tells them the route. Like, okay, if you go this way, it's going to be faster and they're going to work less. Because something that people don't realize in the warehouse, we work a lot.
Y'all do. Y'all do.
Yeah, we do. And that's why Amazon has these robots that brings the shelves to the packers to avoid people from working like this. But not everybody can afford this
That
robotic
part.
stuff.
Yeah.
But so how we can use AI to limit and make sure that people are healthier, take their breaks. AI in these HR apps. It's a lot of it. I love AI. People are scared of it. They're like, it's going to take jobs, but I feel like it's going to make people more efficient and it's going to create different type of jobs for sure. It's up to us it's when the internet came, people were scared, but you got to adapt. It creates new economies.
Absolutely. It does create a new economy. And I think all of us could be leveraging AI for our own respective industries. I'm using AI in packaging for sourcing vendors now, which is quicker cycle times, to even looking at using AI for packaging concepts, with the designer to help expedite the designer's creativity and ideation stage for brands too. So AI is here. We have to leverage it, but it's not going to replace people, 100%. And so still looking at, the same question for the major shifts, we now have tariffs because a lot of brands, especially indie brands, early stage brands are procuring goods internationally. And with tariffs in place now, with China coming from China, we
Mhm.
now have it for Canada for select materials and goods, and more. From your perspective, from like a 3PL standpoint, any shifts that we need to be focusing on, when it comes to cross-border logistics, working with international suppliers, et cetera, that brands should be cognizant of at this stage here in 2026 and beyond?
So it's a little bit hard to to give advice about this because things are changing all the
It's changing
time
daily. I get
with the
it. I
current
get it.
with the current
Yeah.
administration. So it's like, oh, we decide to okay do this, and then boom, next week is like something else. So I would say stay. First of all, you need to stay in the know, but have the right partners. Have someone on your team or someone that you outsource with, a 3PL who knows these changes and who can guide you on what to do, even if it's weekly. You importing if you importing inventory from abroad, can your 3PL partner or do you have a broker that you work with who is really good and can pivot and find ways of making stuff cheaper. That is a hard one. This
I
one is a
know.
hard one.
And I
Yeah.
had to throw that complex one out there because we're in a very volatile environment
Mm-hmm.
and climate in transparency. And under the current administration, it's a roller coaster. And we
Mm-hmm.
don't know which way we turn it, upside
Mm-hmm.
down, whatever, So it was a complex question, but I just had to ask because that is the environment that we're in
And
today.
something that this brings, the issue that comes for the brands, the founders that I see is pricing. So people are
Hmm.
like, whoa, like I base my pricing based on these prices from that packaging or that inventory being at that price. Now I receive my inventory and I have these tariffs to pay
Yeah.
and I'm not profitable anymore. I'm at a loss. And it brings the idea of dynamic pricing,
Yeah.
which is not great. But when we look at what's happening out there with bigger corporations, they all starting to do dynamic pricing. You go to
Uh-huh.
the grocery store, they start doing it live. They want to do
Yeah.
that by the second. They're like, if anything changes in the next 5 seconds, the price gonna change in the grocery
Yeah.
store. And
Absolutely.
unfortunately, it comes to that if they do it, you can be sure that that means we're gonna have to do this as small brands too. It
Yeah.
sucks for the consumer, but at the end of the day, if you're losing money with your business, you're not gonna last. You're gonna die.
Yeah.
You won't
Yeah.
have the billions of dollars that this corporation gets. You don't have nothing. So you
Absolutely.
have to be profitable. And unfortunately that means raising your prices.
Hmm.
But if you have a product that works and that solves a problem and you know who's the target audience is, you can sell the product. The price don't matter anymore.
Yeah.
You have to make sure that and that's, I actually like this era right now that we are in, because what's happening is that a lot of brands that have products that do not work, that are useless, are
Hmm.
gonna and that's
Yeah.
what I'm hoping for. If your product is not a good product, you should not be in the market. That's the
Yeah.
vision of ECOMSPACES. My goal was to help people who have good products actually work, that are helping people, because they
Hmm.
usually die very quickly. People are purpose driven. They don't think about profits, the numbers. And I'm like, I want to
Yeah.
be the person who gives them the strategy so they can grow. Like I
Yeah.
always say, if if Coke can sell all this amount of Cokes, and we all know that Coke is not a good product for our health, but we still drink it. From their marketing, they were able to do this. So imagine what we can do for products that are actually good for us.
Oh,
That's my hope. My hope is that we get
yeah.
to a point one day that there's only good products on the market.
Absolutely. And you all have a lot of great brands and that offer great products. So go and check out Ecom Spaces. Go take a tour of their new facility and look at their membership directory and the brands that are at Ecom Spaces, because they have some great brands. Get on their newsletter because they'll even share with you different things that their members are doing, the events that they're having, etc. Because you want to start investing your dollar with brands that are intentional about what they're doing. They're working hard for the products that they're creating, investing a lot of time, money, effort, or blood, sweat, and tears. That's why me and Maïré are on looking like we do today, baseball caps, sweatshirts, and buns today, because we put our blood, sweat, and tears into everything we do. And the brands they work with do as well. So to that point, I just want to reiterate something Maïré mentioned, which is dynamic pricing. Every brand from the conglomerates, Estee Lauder, L'Oreal, Maybelline, Fenty Beauty, or anything under LVMH, all these notorious brands have all raised their prices within the past 2 years because of increase of ingredients, increase due to tariffs, increase due to packaging costs, because of plastic resins, glass to make glass right now is even more expensive. The weight to ship products, everything has increased. And so to that point, if you're a startup brand and you're trying to keep your prices as attainable as possible, you may need to incorporate that dynamic pricing, because if the big conglomerates are doing it and they don't care, they have the volume and the capital. You as a startup brand and indie founder, you all need to do the same thing, because at the end of the day, you're not creating products just to make it a hobby. You're creating products to solve a need or a pain point, but also to be profitable to help you get to the next stage as well. So just had to put that out there, based upon what Maïré mentioned. So as we're rounding out for today's segment, I'm going to get to maybe two more questions, Maïré. So if a product-based founder asks you, what should I do today to prepare my business for 2020 and beyond? What's one strategic action you tell them to take?
Do you know how much money you're making? So especially right
Mhm.
after Black Friday, people have a little bit more sales, they're excited. But were you profitable? Did you break even? And
Yeah.
that is a great exercise that I love to do. Actually, have to do it after this week because we had a lot of orders. So I need to
Mhm.
check, hey, okay, we're gonna have a lot of money coming in, but were we profitable, breaking even, or at a loss? And then
Yeah.
figure out if you're at a loss, why? And then this is your bottleneck for the next 3 months, you gotta get this bottleneck out.
Yeah.
If we were breaking even, why are we not making money? So what's the bottleneck with that? And even
Yeah.
if you're profitable, if my margin was 10%, how can
Mhm.
I try to get 15% in the next 3 months? Yeah. So numbers. I hate numbers. I don't like sitting down in front. I'd rather go pack boxes than sit down in front of my laptop and work on these things. However, I do know that if I do not know, that means that I'm most likely at a loss. Because if
Yeah.
you always you see the money coming in and right away the money coming out, and I'm not gonna lie, that's how I feel right now. So that's why
Yeah.
I'm like super into the numbers. What is the number of orders I need to have to break even, how much I need to have to be this profitable, what is cutting the profits, all of these things. And we do that in the
Yeah.
strategy calls with our founders. I like
Oh,
to do that together with them because
you need to
without these
know.
numbers, you don't know what you need to work on in
Yeah.
2026. If you realize, and most of the time, the issue that I see for e-commerce founders is that they spend too much in paid ads if they do paid ads. They spend too much in paid
Mm.
ads. And founders, they're going to try to look at the fulfillment bill, the shipping. You cannot change
Yeah.
the shipping. The shipping going to be the same price it is,
Yeah.
but you can change how much you pay for ads. This is
Yeah.
a variable cost, and this is something that can be improved with conversion. You can improve that. So look at
Mhm.
the stuff that you can improve and work on that.
Yeah.
Uh,
And let me say, even from my end as a service provider, I'm having to look at my numbers, to your point, like, okay, I'm looking at how many clients do we need per quarter, per, semi-annually and annually to break even with payroll
mhm,
costs, overhead costs, et cetera, to, okay, where are we at from a profitable standpoint? Then we look at our clients' metrics from a sustainability
mhm,
standpoint, expansion into retail or Amazon, so we have our own KPIs that we look at with brands to understand the numbers
mhm,
because brands, if you are looking to pitch, and Maïré can tell you this too, you have to know the numbers in order to, articulate what your need is, how much funding you need based upon where you're at, what's the next stage and the projections of the brand, the valuation of the brand. You have to know all of that. Ray's gonna go ahead and do this masterclass because I didn't put that bug in her ear on that because a lot of brands are bootstrapping, but we want y'all to start trying to figure out how to get this money from pitching
mhm,
and grants, etc. Ray is a pro, so masterclass coming soon. Just putting that out there, led by my herself. But to that point, you have to know the numbers. And even when I'm working with brands from the beginning for packaging, they think you're just sourcing packaging or you're just designing packaging. Well, what is your, SRP? What is the retail price going to be? Are you offering wholesale? If so, what countries are you shipping into? Is there an expansion into retail? If so, what's the
mhm,
projected time frame for that? Because I then need to understand what is your formulation cost? What is your potential packaging cost? What is the potential shipping rate going to be if you are shipping on your own? Or if you're using ECOMSPACES or 3PL, what are their pick and pack fees? I've been on calls with Maïré
mhm,
before for some of her clients, some of the brands is in her
mhm,
facility to understand what it looks like, to understand, okay, this is what we can allocate for packaging, to have it be branded, to for all the different levels. So numbers is important for all of us,
mhm,
from me and as business women to the brands we work with. We asking y'all about the numbers. So come with y'all numbers and have yourself organized as well with the numbers too. Okay. Because we want y'all to get this money and figure out how to retain the money, not lose it at the end of the day. So that was so good. Oh, wait, because that could be a
It
whole
is.
nother math class. But
It is.
Okay, so we are at our time, and I want to be respectful of your time. So, ladies and gentlemen, you heard from e-commerce founder and leader herself, and fulfillment guru, Miss Maïré, here on the Product and Packaging Powerhouse. And so, if you've been rocking with us for quite some time, you know that we get into at the end of every episode, we get into our featured power round. So this is where we're going to put our guests in the hot seat in 90 seconds to ask them some fun, fast facts that they shared with us. And so I'm going to put 90 seconds on the clock and see how many questions our guest, our powerhouse guest, is able to answer for today. So let me get my clock together. Okay. So, Maïré, you ready? I'm like
Ready?
Gracie's Corner. Are you ready? You ready? You ready? That goes to show you I have an infant and a child at home. If I'm singing Gracie's Corner, I'm sure your sister who has a 2-year-old understands Gracie's Corner too. Okay. All right. So 90 seconds is up on the clock. And you ready?
Ready?
Let's go. Okay. So growing up on an island with fewer than 10,000 people, what is the name of your home country?
Technically, it's France.
Okay.
But Marie Galante. The island name is Marie Galante.
Okay. I love that. Say that 3 times. It just rolls off beautifully.
Marie Galante.
Marie
like Mary.
Marie Galante. Okay.
Yes. Yeah. You
Marie
get it. You must be French in another life.
Oui. That's all I know. Okay. Okay. So continuing on with our questions. Okay. Let me restart because that's all. It's like all I have is we. Okay. And so next question. What's one thing that made your childhood uniquely yours?
Woo! Growing up on that island.
Okay. That's fair.
I mean, it's such like a small town. Everybody knows everybody. And that literally shaped me to wanted to leave and go to discover other places because I was sick of it. But that's weird because it's paradise. Every time I go back on vacation, I wonder, why did I leave? Like, it's amazing here. But then I'm like, oh yeah, because it's small and I need to discover stuff.
I love that. So perfect segue to the next question. Would you pick island life or city hustle?
Oh, none of them. I want to.
Okay. It depends on the day.
Actually, what I'm trying to do is go live in Ethiopia, in Addis Ababa. So it's like city, but it's also not as busy as in the cities in the US. So it's like an in-between.
Okay, that's fair. Because, you know, if I had an island to go back to and it was paradise, as my girl is saying in the background, I'll be there at the beach too. So instead of this cold weather here in Atlanta. Okay. All right. So what's one traditional island dish everyone should try?
It's called bokit, and it's like a sandwich. It's like, yes, it's the best thing ever. I would love to bring this to the US. Nobody's doing this. Oh, it's so good. Yeah, it's called bokit, B-O-K.
Okay, I'm gonna look it up. And if you do a potluck there, I want you to figure out how to get it at ECOMSPACES, and I'll come break bread with y'all.
We did that one time. Okay, I'll let you know.
Let me know. Okay. So we're at time, but I'm going to ask you these last 2 questions. So you love cats, and if you could choose a cat personality trait that best matches you, which one would it be?
I love to sleep, and cats sleep a lot.
That's valid. Listen, we need our sleep as business owners.
That's the only thing literally I didn't sacrifice is that I work a lot, but I got to sleep at least 8 hours to recoup.
I love that.
Yes.
Good for you. Okay.
At least.
That's a whole nother masterclass on how to maximize your sleep as a business owner, because I have not conquered that yet. But I'm not sleeping right now, even with an infant. So that's a whole nother topic. Okay. Last question. So in 5 seconds or less, tell us why every brand should invest in fulfillment services.
In 5 seconds too, so they can expand, so they can focus on other things than shipping.
Okay. I love that.
Your business.
I love that. Because if you're spending more than 2 hours a day on shipping.
To keep their sanity, I'm willing to lose my sanity for you guys.
There you have it. That's why we come on with baseball caps, sweatshirts, and buns, because we get the job done.
That would be you if you don't have a 3PL, you're gonna be me. So you want to be you. Yeah.
So save your sanity. And if you're spending more than 2 hours a day on shipping, you just need to hire ECOMSPACES to do it for you and save your sanity to focus on the marketing and understand the numbers at the end of the day for your brand, so you can become profitable and help grow and scale your brands to the next phase of the business. So you're right. I so appreciate your time. I know you're a busy woman. So the fact that you were able to take this time to speak with me today means a lot. So thank you for rocking with me today.
That was a fun podcast. I loved it.
Thank you. So let everybody know how they can get in contact with you, learn more about ecom memberships, the strategy sessions, and more.
Yes, well, they can find everything on the website, ecomspaces.com. You can get started, fill out a little quiz, and then we can figure it out with you what's best for your business. And we also, at the Russell Center, we manage the UPS Launchpad, and people are welcome to come, spend time with us. In 2026, we're going to have a lot of events, open houses where you guys
I
can
love
pop
that.
up and then ask us for help.
Oh, we. And if you're not involved with ECOMSPACES, you're going to do so after today's episode. Their website is down below. Sign up for their newsletter so you don't miss any of their events that they are coming out with and hosting. And if you're not affiliated with the Russell Center here in Atlanta, you need to get involved as well and let Maïré and her team at ECOMSPACES help you with your shipping, PL needs exclusively at the Russell Center. So, Ray, thank you so much for being my feature powerhouse for today. And make sure you do follow, like, and subscribe on the Product and Packaging Powerhouse, available on all streaming platforms as well as YouTube. So that way, if you hit that notification bell, you won't miss anything that we drop in because we are bringing the fire directly to you. So thank y'all so much for tuning in, and we'll see you on the next one.